So, Le'Andra Leseur, I want to introduce you to everybody watching as a really amazing, talented, interdisciplinary artist that I work with at Sunlight Tax. And you have been in Money Boot Camp for 2019. And I just want to ask you, I'm going to show everybody some of your work. And I want to ask you if you can summarize in 10 to 30 seconds what you do. And then I'm going to ask you some questions.
Yeah, of course. So my work, I deal with photo, video, performance, and installation. My work is based on, I guess you can say, identity politics. I hate to say that, but I'm speaking directly about myself and kind of the things I deal with as a Black queer woman. And how I respond to different traumas, different things that kind of relate to almost racial bias, and have a way to kind of flip that around into something that gets back to a place of kind of love and joy and peace, and how we connect with one another based on those different themes. So I'm using my body through performance, also through documented performance within video to kind of explore those different themes and basically understand myself, have a time for reflection and create space for reflection and understanding where I'm at currently and where I'm going and how important it is to honor my existence in these times that we live in currently.
That's so powerful. And I just want to say that as a viewer of your work, I feel all of that when I look at it. Like it is really moving.
Thank you. I
Uh,
appreciate it.
yeah. So I want everybody to watch your videos and go to your website and see what your work is about.
Perfect. Perfect. I would love that.
Um, One of the things that brought you to me was in 2018, you were the winner of the Art Prize, which is a $200,000 prize, and that is a huge honor and a big deal, and because your work is amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, it was amazing, amazing feat, amazing honor. I'm very excited for
Oh my goodness, yeah. So, not to get all nitty gritty practical, but that is a little bit what I do. Um, but you had this problem, and you like got this enormous chunk of money that was money that you've never seen before, all at once like that, and and it was right at the year end, and so you knew that if you didn't do something quick, tax wise, that you might get a huge chunk of it taken away, and
it.
so I want to kind of ask you some questions about how we work together
Hmm.
and what happened for you and what that was like.
Yeah, sure.
So what was the problem that you like what was the feeling that you were having before you met me, before we connected?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it was definitely a feeling of fear. I mean, to know that, all of these years kind of within my practice, not being able to have like that amount of money ever. And then all of a sudden that amount of money being like coming to me was something that was really scary in terms of not knowing what exactly to do for tax purposes, understanding that I'm now in a new tax bracket. What does that look like? And how I could kind of exercise putting that money away into certain places to make sure that I'm keeping that money kind of not to myself, but to myself for my future self or for retirement purposes and things like that.
Yeah.
So it was really awesome speaking to you, Hannah, because I know you obviously coming from an art background, you totally understood where I was at in terms of, kind of understanding the deductions that needed to be made, but also the importance of kind of, like you said, maxing out like my solo 401k, doing things like that to make sure that I was not necessarily going to be taxed on a lot of that money. And it was going to be like a smaller percentage that I would have to worry about paying back to the IRS. So,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm all for paying the taxes that one owes, but you earned that money. And I triple checked every rule because I was so like, she needs to keep every dollar of this that she's making.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think that was the fearful part. I don't necessarily know all the tax laws. talking to different people. They were telling me X, Y, and Z, ABC. But I think speaking to you and knowing that you were doing your due diligence and kind of researching every single thing that needed to be done on my end to make sure that I was in the best possible situation when I did file my taxes, really, really put me at ease and made me feel like, I was in a good place.
Yay. I'm so happy. I'm so happy to hear that. And I was totally doing the calculations like, okay, we saved this much money.
It was perfect.
um, so take me, I want to hear just a little bit of like if there was anything that felt kind of different about working with me or anything surprising about Sunlight Tax or even about Money Boot Camp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, again, I'll go back to the main point of the fact that I feel like we could relate to one another just because, we both come from a background of being artists. And I think a lot of times as artists, we tend to just spend a lot of money on our work because we are like looking at that as an investment. And a lot of people can look at that and be like, well, why are you doing that? But I think you come from a place where you're understanding of that. So you're like, okay, well, yes, you're doing this, but you need to make sure you're tracking it. You need to make sure that you're using a business account because you as an artist, you are a business. So just like little things like that, I think were really important for me to kind of understand and kind of shift my mindset in terms of how I was thinking about my finances, in terms of how I was thinking about taxes in general, and in terms of how I was kind of regulating that throughout the year. And that specifically was really important for me looking back at the boot camp. And all of the things that you were going over in terms of how to kind of understand a lot of the tax laws, understand what could be done in terms of deductions, the things that we could do to kind of leverage where we're at in terms of, making sure, yes, we're spending the money, it is an investment, but also making sure that we're putting that back and understanding that that's going to kind of level out or balance out when tax time comes around. So that was really important for me in knowing that you were kind of right there with us in terms of the relatability as an artist as well.
Awesome. And can you take me to the moment when you kind of realized or felt like Money Boot Camp or working with Sunlight Tax was working?
Yeah, I mean, I would say just from the beginning. I mean, the first conversation I had with you, again, it was like this fear that I had, but it was put at ease. I mean, you were the first person that was like so easy to talk to. I always have a fear of talking to people about finances because it is a scary thing for me, coming from a place where I've always kind of worked very hard to kind of reach a certain point, winning this big amount of money, and not necessarily knowing what to do with it. People look at you and say, "Oh, you're supposed to know what to do with it." But I think you came from a place of like, "No, it's okay to not know these things, and that's why I'm here. I'm going to help you kind of get through this." So I think from the first conversation we had, I felt at ease, and I felt like this was the right decision to be working with you and Sunlight Tax because it was the best decision for me in terms of just feeling comfortable with the things that I was doing and the decisions I was making.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Of
Um,
course.
so tell me a little bit about what life looks like now that you're feeling that you've addressed some of these issues.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I will say I'm definitely much more organized. I've been keeping a checklist and doing my own bookkeeping, which has been fun, but also a little stressful. But it's allowed me to really kind of see, how kind of numbers are shifting and changing and understand the kind of budgeting that I need to do to make sure that I'm reaching the goals that I need to reach, and also to make sure that I'm kind of staying steady or, keeping my head above water throughout the year. So I think those are really important things. Again, when I go back to this idea of kind of shifting my mindset and understanding the important things that I need to do on a daily basis in terms of admin, because I am a business and those things are important to keep a business going.
Ah, yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. I really appreciate it, and I've loved having you in boot camp. I've loved having you as a client, um, and I also just want to say to everybody that they need to look at your work, and that one of the things I love working with you because of is that you are really talking about important issues in the world in a way that is beautiful and relatable, and just as a person you exude this kind of love, and I just really love that.
I appreciate that, Anna. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Leandra. Thanks for talking to me.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.